In a narrow stone street, where the cobblestones still remembered the weight of carts and horses, there lived an old candle merchant named Harris. His shop was small, barely wider than a doorway, but from its single window it glowed every evening like a lantern left on for someone who never came home. He sold candles to the whole town, tall white ones for weddings, short red ones for dinners, thin black ones that grieving families bought in silence. For 40 years, Harris had measured his life in wax and flame. But Harris had a habit that every shopkeeper in the market knew about and every customer had noticed. He never sold his finest candle. On the highest shelf, wrapped in aged silk the color of cream, sat a single candle unlike any other. It was hand-dipped 47 times. It was threaded with dried jasmine pressed flat like prayers. Its wick was braided linen, soft as breath. And it smelled, people said, like rain on warm earth and something older that had no name. When customers noticed it and asked the price, Harris would smile quietly and say, "That one is not for sale." "Then who is it for?" a young woman once asked. He looked at the candle a long moment. "For the right occasion," he said. Years passed. The occasion never came. The candle remained unlit, wrapped in its silk, sitting in the dark of the highest shelf, waiting. When Harris turned 73, his fingers could no longer roll warm wax without trembling. He hired a young boy named Mike, quiet, serious-faced, with the sort of attention in his eyes that reminded Harris of someone he could not quite place. Mike swept, Mike wrapped, Mike delivered orders in the rain without complaint, but most of all, Mike watched. He watched how Harris wrapped each candle as though it mattered who would receive it. He watched how Harris spoke to customers who were clearly not just buying wax, they were buying a small piece of warmth they could carry home. One cold evening, as they were closing the shutters, Mike pointed to the shelf. "The one in silk," he said. "How long has it been there?" "Longer than you've been alive," Harris replied. "Are you waiting for a wedding, a birth, a great feast?" Mike asked. Harris was quiet for a while. Then, softly, "I suppose I've been waiting for a moment grand enough to deserve it." It was an ordinary Tuesday when an old woman came into the shop. She was small and moved carefully, as though the floor might break. She had no wedding to celebrate, no feast to host. She bought 2 plain candles for her evening prayers, as she had every week for 20 years. While Harris was in the back, Mike reached up, carefully, deliberately, and brought down the silk-wrapped candle from the highest shelf. He placed it in her hands without a word. She looked at him confused. "How much?" "Nothing," Mike said. "You've been coming here for 20 years. That's occasion enough." She unwrapped the silk slowly, the way people unwrap things they know are precious. When the scent reached her, jasmine and old rain and something without a name, her eyes filled with the specific tenderness of being seen. She left without another word. Harris noticed the empty shelf that same evening. He stood in front of it for a long time, saying nothing. His face was unreadable. Mike braced himself. Then Harris sat down on the old stool by the door, the one with the cracked leg he'd never fixed, and put his face in his hands. In something that had no clean name, the feeling of a man who realizes very late what he was doing all along. He had been saving the candle for a moment grand enough, but he had confused grand with loud, with ceremony, with witness. He did not understand until a boy understood it, that the woman who comes every Tuesday in the rain, quietly, faithfully, is the grand occasion. Ordinary devotion, done without applause, is the rarest thing in the world.
Harris lived 4 more years. In that time, he made more candles wrapped in silk, each one for a different, ordinary person in the town. The woman who delivered bread before dawn, the man who repaired shoes and never raised his prices, the librarian who stayed late every Friday so children had somewhere warm to sit. None of them had done anything remarkable. That was precisely the point. When Harris died on a cold Thursday morning, the whole street smelled faintly of jasmine and rain. No one could explain it. Mike opened it again that spring. On the highest shelf, he placed a single candle wrapped in cream-colored silk. When customers asked about that one, he smiled quietly and said, "That one is not for sale." But by then, everyone understood. It was not waiting for a grand occasion. It was waiting for an ordinary moment. We spend our whole lives saving the best of ourselves for a moment grand enough to deserve it, not realizing that the most faithful, quiet, ordinary people in our lives already are that moment.